you ever really looked at a resume? I mean, not just glanced at the job titles, but seen it as a story. A blueprint for a career that doesn't just stay in one lane, but builds bridges across many. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to deconstruct one incredible career and see what it can teach us. You know, we have this idea that an expert is someone who drills down deeper and deeper into one single topic. But our world is so interconnected, so complex. Is that really the only way to make a big impact anymore? That's the big question we're digging into here. So to find an answer, we're taking the career of one person, Dr. Sameth Talvik, and unpacking it. His path is this amazing journey that weaves through heavy industry, cutting-edge academic research, and public education. It's a fantastic case study. So here's our roadmap. First, we'll get the big picture of the engineer himself. Then we'll see him in action on the high seas. After that, we dive into his work on clean energy, see how he shares that knowledge, and then, finally, we'll tie it all together. Okay, first things first, let's paint the portrait of this modern engineer, Dr. Sameth Talvik. This timeline really sets the stage. You can see this steady, impressive progression. He starts with a bachelor's way back in '91. But look at what happens next. He's not just in the classroom getting his master's and PhD. He's also out in the field, earning these heavy-duty professional certifications, like chief engineer. It's this blend of theory and practice that's so important. All right, so he's got the credentials. Now let's see where he really put that knowledge to the ultimate test. We're headed out to the open ocean to explore his high-stakes, hands-on experience. So this was his office. Not some quiet desk job, but one of these beasts, a ro-ro vessel. Think of them as colossal floating parking garages. Everything has to work perfectly all the time. This is where engineering isn't a concept, it's a lifeline. And as chief engineer, man, he was the master of this entire mechanical ecosystem. Just think about the weight of that responsibility. You're in charge of every mechanical system, the HVAC that people rely on, you're leading the crews, and you're the one who has to guarantee everything is up to strict international safety codes. This is as real as it gets. Okay, and here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. He goes from the engine room of a ship that's all about power to the quiet precision of a research lab, to work on clean energy. What a pivot. With all that real-world experience under his belt, he aimed his brain at a massive global problem. He was basically asking, how can we take organic waste, biogas, and scrub it so clean that it becomes high-grade methane, pure enough to just pump right into the existing natural gas grid? So how do you do it? You can almost think of it like washing dirty gas. His PhD research fine-tuned a process where you first use a chemical, a solvent, to act like a sponge and soak up all the nasty CO2. Then you use pressure changes to literally squeeze out any other impurities. What you're left with is methane that is over 99% pure. It's just a beautiful example of taking theory and creating something incredibly practical. But his curiosity, it didn't just stop at biogas. I mean, look at the incredible range of his work just in this one decade. He goes from purifying fuel to designing a Morse code encryption circuit with a simple Arduino to literally pulling drinkable water out of thin air and then circling back to make massive LNG carriers more sustainable. It just shows a mind that loves to solve puzzles, no matter what kind they are. Okay, so you're a hands-on expert on the seas and a deep-thinking researcher in the lab. What do you do with all that amazing knowledge? Well, that brings us right to our next section, sharing it. His impact isn't just locked away somewhere. He pours a ton of energy into teaching, and he does it across these 4 key areas: in the university classroom, as an international consultant, through hands-on community programs, and even by getting out there in the public media. It's a full-spectrum approach to sharing what he knows. And this slide right here, wow, this really says it all. The sheer range is just incredible. On one side, he's creating super technical, certified courses on things like gas liquefaction for top-tier maritime pros. And on the other, he's delivering workshops for a presidential initiative focused on strengthening family bonds. The skill it takes to speak to both those audiences is just so rare. And his reach just keeps expanding. He's building training programs for other countries, putting up YouTube videos to teach life skills to young people, training his own colleagues to be better teachers, and even going on local TV to help make technology feel less scary to everybody. He's basically an ambassador for engineering. And that brings us to our final section, where we pull all these different threads together and really see the power of what he's built. We've seen the chief engineer, right? And the clean energy scientist, and the public educator. On the surface, they almost look like three totally different people. So what's the one thing that connects them all? Here it is. It's this powerful three-part drive. It doesn't matter if the system is a ship's engine, a chemical reaction, or a community program. The pattern is always the same. First, you dive in and deeply understand how it works. Then you figure out how to make it better for people. And finally, and this is the crucial part, you teach others how to do it too. That is the power of synthesis. And this kind of long-term, multifaceted impact, it gets noticed. Among all his awards, this one really stands out. A medal for excellent long duty and meritorious service, coming from the highest levels of the Egyptian armed forces. That's a powerful acknowledgement of a career built on service and excellence. And so we end with this one big thought to chew on. Our world absolutely celebrates specialists, and for very good reason. But looking at a career like this, it makes you wonder. Maybe the people who can connect the dots, who can see the patterns between different fields, the synthesizers, maybe they're the ones we need most to solve our biggest, trickiest problems. What could a world with more of them actually achieve?